Geoverse Part 1 To Friend is Human by GeodesicDragon. Chapter 7 United Part 1. Several weeks later, Twilight and I were still together. However, I was worried about how the residents of Pony&Wolf would react to the news. After all, how would you react if your friend and neighbor suddenly announces that she's fallen for the alien who appeared in town only a few months ago? The sheer speed at which our love had grown was my primary worry. Would every pony think I was forcing Twilight to love me? Would they think that I was using some kind of ancient magic to control her mind? These and several other nagging thoughts clouded my mind for those first few weeks. But trust me to find myself in the most welcoming place imaginable. My doubts were shattered when Pinkie Pie threw a congratulations to Geo and Twilight on getting together party and invited the whole town. Every pony who came shook my hand and wished us both all the best. Even Princess Celestia came to the party. Of all the ponies in Equestria, it was her approval I sought the most. After all, it's not every day your most promising student announces she's fallen in love with an alien from another world. As Celestia approached us, I found that I had gone rigid with fear. Twilight nuzzled me as I ran my hand through her mane. As usual, it was nice and soft. The feeling was enough to calm my nerves, albeit by a small amount. "You do realize," Twilight said softly, "that if Princess Celestia was angry with you, she'd be showing it?" "Or this is just the calm before the shitstorm," I said tensively. Twilight giggled as Celestia strode up to us. "Geo, Twilight," she said. "Hello, Princess Celestia," replied Twilight. "We are both glad you could make it." "It's always a pleasure, Princess Celestia." I could feel the cold sweat collecting on my forehead. If she was going to do anything, now would be the time. "I heard the news. About you two, I mean." The tone of her voice was neutral, so I couldn't tell what she was about to do. She raised a hoof. "Great, she's going to smack me upside the head," I thought, closing my eyes and bracing myself for the blow, which never came. I opened my eyes to see that Celestia was holding a drink and giving me a strange look. "A toast," she announced loudly, "to Geo and Twilight. May they find everlasting happiness together." There was a chorus of "Geo and Twilight," and every pony raised their glasses to us. Celestia leaned closer to me. "All I want is for Twilight to be happy," she whispered. "And you are quite clearly a perfect match for her. Treat her well, Geo." "I will, Princess," I whispered back. "I'll do anything to see her smile, come hell or high water." Celestia grinned and trotted away to mingle with the other guests, leaving Twilight and I in the middle of the room. As soon as she was out of sight, I let out a sigh of relief and scooped up Twilight for a hug, which made her squeal in delight. "For a moment there I thought she was going to banish me to the moon," I said quietly. "Oh, relax," Twilight soothed. "As I said, if she was angry with you, she would have made her feelings quite clear." I smiled and gave her a peck on the cheek before putting her down. "You're right," I replied. "I shouldn't have doubted you, or the princess for that matter. Sorry." Twilight gently punched my side. "Don't worry about it," she said. "It's all in the past, but as of right now, we are at a Pinkie Pie party and you've got a face like a wet weekend. So let's see what we can do about, as Pinkie would say, turning that frown upside down." I nodded and we went to mingle. The rest of Twilight's friends were just as surprised as she was about the whole thing, but thankfully they were welcoming of the idea. The 5 of them saw us, and by us, I mean they saw me, given my hate, and came over to offer their congratulations. "How do you like the party?" Pinkie Pie asked. "You should totally get married now and let me do the wedding. Oh, please get married. I want to cater a wedding. I had so much fun at Cadence's and Shining Armor's wedding, minus the changelings, of course." "2 things, Pinkie," I replied. 1, the party is great, just like it always is. 2, what the fuck is a changeling? "They're like ponies," Pinkie replied. "Except they look like giant bugs, and they can make themselves look like any pony, because they feed off love. A bunch of them tried crashing Twilight's brother's wedding a few months back, but it didn't work out." I raised an eyebrow. "Trust me, partner," Applejack interjected. "Ya don't want to know. All ya really need to know is that we sent those critters packing."
"Yeah," Dash added. "It was awesome. We kicked so much flanks that day it was unreal. Best day ever."
She pumped the air with a hoof as she spoke. Yeah," I replied. "I'll take your word for it. Now, if I could be so bold and change the subject, what do you think of Twilight and I being together?" "It's wonderful," Rarity said. "You two seem like such the perfect couple. It's like you were made for each other." "Fate is a funny thing," I retorted. I wasn't getting anywhere in my own world, both socially and romantically, so I was brought here, where I found both friends and love. I punctuated this by nuzzling Twilight. After all, she had done it to me often enough, so why couldn't I do it back? Thankfully, she appreciated the gesture and returned it with a small blush. "It's really sweet that the two of you have each other," Fluttershy said. "I wonder if there's some pony out there for me." "There is some pony out there for all of you," I replied, waving my hand across the room. "I'm pretty sure that sooner or later you will all become prisoners of love, and when you do, you will appreciate it as much as we do. Right, Twi?" Twilight nodded. "Indeed," she said. "Don't worry, girls, you'll all find a special sun pony sooner or later. Try not to give up the search."
"Can we change the subject again?"
Dash said grimly.
"All this sappy stuff is just blah."
"What's the matter, Rainbow?" I asked her. "Afraid you won't find some pony to ignite that spark within you?" Dash waved her hoof dismissively. "I'm no expert," I said, "nor do I claim to predict the future. But I'm fairly confident that you will all find some pony special. After all, you're great mares. Any guy would kill to be with you." The girls nodded. "Thank you, Geo," Rarity said. "I shall not give up. I shall continue hoping that my special sun pony is just waiting for the right moment to reveal himself."
"Yeah,"
Applejack said.
"And I'll continue to hope I meet a stallion who's as honest as I am. Of course, knowing my luck, he'll turn out to be the exact opposite. But as the old saying goes, opposites attract."
"Oh, I hope to meet some pony who's sweet," Pinky chimed. "Oh, and smart, and brave. Basically just the best guy ever."
"What about you, Fluttershy?" I asked. "I'm pretty sure there's a guy out there who's just as kind and caring as you are." Fluttershy squeaked and hid behind her mane to cover the blush forming on her cheeks, causing me to chuckle. "So," I said, "are we all in agreement that there's a special sun pony out there for all of you?"
"Mm-hmm,"
came the reply. "Good," I said. "Now, let's party." Hours later the party was over and Twilight and I were walking home. The moon was full, casting a brilliant glow over Ponyville. "Did you have fun?" Twilight asked me as we neared the library. "Yeah, I did," I replied with a grin. "Pinky sure knows how to throw a good party." "I have to admit," Twilight said, "I never realized you were capable of bringing every pony's spirits up like that. I've never seen the girls more determined before." "Every pony needs a little pep talk once in a while," I replied. "It just so happens that I have a way with words." Twilight giggled. "That's true," she said before biting her bottom lip. "So, what do you want to do now?" "The night is still young," I shrugged. "And I'm not even tired. Why, what do you want to do?" Entering the library, Twilight turned on the light. "I can think of one thing," she said, raising her tail. "Oh, really?" I replied with a grin. "Because that makes two of us." And with those words I scooped her up in my arms and carried her upstairs to the bedroom. Author's Notes. You no doubt noticed that this chapter has been extended with new scenes. The rewrite gutted it out about 600 words, so I had to fill it with something. I hope that's all right. That said, how many of the references did you spot?